The Digitakt 2 now features an Euclidean sequencer. How does it work and how can you use it? Let's find out. Alright, so to access the Euclidean sequencer, you need to hold function and go to the sequencer page, so on the AMP button. Here we can enable the Euclidean sequencer, but in this case I want to activate it on all the tracks, so I can just hold the track button and enable this. So now it's enabled everywhere. But how Euclidean sequencers work is like you enter a number of nodes. So right here I can enter up to 16 steps and it will always be divided as equally as possible. It's like taking a slice of pizza, in this case dividing it by 3, by 4, by 5, 6 and so on. So if we set it to 16 and I enable record mode, you can see it fills all the steps. And on 1, we've only got 1 step. On 2, we get 2 steps divided equally. So half nodes basically. On 4, we get quarter nodes. 8 nodes. And then everything in between. But in this case we've basically got 2 pulse generators. It works exactly the same. So for example, if I set the first one to 2, it will play these 2 steps. And I set the second one to 3, then it will play 1, 12 and 7. And of course this is a monophonic sequencer, so we can only play a step 1 time. So even if I play the same note, it doesn't get louder or anything. But you can affect the way these pulses interact with this option right here in the bottom right. It's a Boolean operator. So by default it's set to OR. So it will either play pulse generator 1 or pulse generator 2. But you can also set it to exclusive OR. That means either will play, except when the trigger lands on both, then it doesn't play. So as you can see, they both land on the first trigger, so we won't hear anything. And by the way, I can also rotate these patterns. So we've got a rotate 1. So now I can rotate the first pulse generator or the second one. So you can basically adjust the offset. And now they both do play. So even with these options you can create a pretty complex pattern already. But let's move on to the end mode. And in this case they will only play if both pulse generators are active. So in this case only the first one. Or in this case both. And finally we've got a sub option, which is a bit weird, but it's basically like a mute control. So let's say I'll change this one to play every 8 note and this one as well. So when the second pulse generator plays at the same time as the first one, then the output is muted basically. So for example, if I rotate this one, now only the first one plays and we'll basically never hear the second pulse generator. So it's really like a mute and on-off switch. Okay, now let's create some patterns. So I'm gonna simplify this one a bit. Let's keep it at 3. You don't want it to get too busy. And by the way, I can't really put in manual triggers. There's a workaround for that, but I'll show you that in a second. Let's move on to the snare. Let's select end. By the way, if you want to rotate both pulse generators at once, there's a track rotate right here. Right, some hi-hats. Let me disable the metronome. But yeah, like I said, you can't turn on or activate triggers, but you can parameter lock them. So let's say I want to change the pitch. I can do that. Or maybe not the pitch, but the note. So maybe I want to add some delay to a clap. This one, for example. And let's change the delay time a bit quicker. Okay, now we can also create polyrhythms. To do that, I need to hold down function and go to page. And now I need to press function again. Hold it down and press yes. So we can access the advanced page mode. And now the page mode is independently changeable per pattern. Okay, and now you can see that the length mode became active. And now I can reduce the length. And that means that also the amount of pulses changes because it's still divided equally, or trying to. So for example, right now I've got 3 steps divided in a space of 16. But if I change the length to 8, I still get 3 steps, but divided in a space of 8. And now you can create some really weird polyrhythmic patterns. For example, if I set it to 15. By the way, there's a new feature on the Digitakt 2. If you hold down function and press this button, perform, it will basically lock the kit. So now if I switch to another pattern, it will keep the same sound. So that's really useful. Now if I hold the perform button and press yes, I'm sent to the save kit screen. And here I can store it. Now I can disable perform mode. And all my changes are stored. So that's useful. Let's say I enter 3 steps. And now if I reduce the length to 15, listen to this. Now there's one issue. I need to go back to page setup. And that's because every 16 steps, the entire pattern is reset, as you can see right here. So I need to lengthen this amount to, I'm not sure how high it can go, but very high. Now it should be polyrhythmic, basically. It's constantly changing. So that's pretty cool. Right, but let me go back to pattern 1. Now let's say you want to make one of these Euclidean patterns permanent. You can do that. You just need to hold down function while turning off the Euclidean sequencer. And now the blue steps will turn red. So if I go to the kick, now I can turn off these steps. And by the way, if you enter some steps and you go to Euclidean mode, all these previous steps are removed. But when you turn off the Euclidean sequencer again, you can see these steps return. So the only way to override them is to turn on the Euclidean sequencer, hold function and turn it off. and now it's replaced. Alright, that's it. Let me know what you think and feel free to ask me any questions. Also, I'd love to hear what video you want me to make next. But for now, thanks for watching and I'll see you next week with another tutorial.